Good morning. Welcome to Up to the Minute. It is a Wednesday. We're halfway through this week. And more importantly, it's the last day of November. It's hard to believe, but we are moving on into December. And we've got a great show lined up for you for the next half hour. Got a special co-host joining me this morning. You normally don't see him, but he's usually on every show we do because he works as our director. But now he's our co-host this morning. I'm talking about Nathan Hale from HCCTV. Nathan, good to see you on the show.
Good morning, Todd. Good morning, everyone. It's good to be here. And as Todd was saying, I'm usually on the other side of this, invisible. So, you get to see my face today. A rare treat or misfortune, depending on how you view it. But either way, I'm happy to be here.
Well, it's good to have you with us. I got to admit, though, my voice may sound a little shot, and I'm having problems hearing this morning because last night I took my son to see Judas Priest downtown. So I'll give you two things from the concert last night, Nathan. One of them, Judas Priest, is very old. Very, very old. They are really old. Okay. They sound good, but they're also very, very loud, really, really loud, louder than I would have ever imagined. So when you go to a concert like that with your son, you learn how old you are compared to others.
Well, they've got to be pretty old because I was a kid when I listened to them.
Yeah, I was a kid too. I know. Yeah, just take my word for it. They're old, but they still sound good. They still sound really good. And they put on a good show last night. Good to be here this morning, though, Nathan. We want to thank everyone watching us on Facebook Live and YouTube. You can catch us just about every morning when HCC is in session. We're live at 10 a.m., but they can also catch us, Nathan, anytime in social media and on HCCTV.
That's right. You can find us on many social media sites under Houston Community College, not HCC. That's on Facebook, YouTube. We're also on Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram. We're also on our TV station, HCCTV, noon, 5, and 10 p.m. Monday through Friday.
Okay, Nathan, stick around because you're going to be interviewing these two next guests. We're launching a brand new segment today. It's called Good Works Wednesday with Fort Bend County Museum's Gilded Age Christmas. And we've got Jessica Avery and Letha Wood joining us, both with the Candlelight Tours and both with the Fort Bend Museum. Good morning, ladies. How are you?
Hey, we're fine.
Good morning. Good to have you with us. We're looking forward to talking with you. So stick around. We'll be with you in about 10 minutes. Okay, we're going to kick things off right now. It is Small Business Wednesday, and we have an HCC business plan competition grad who's changing the landscape of leadership for young women. We're talking with Christina Meade, founder and executive director of Nerdy Girl Success, and also one of our HCC business plan competition graduates. Good morning, Christina. How are you?
Good morning. Thanks for having me today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start with talking about what exactly you do. Let's begin with how you got started supporting and preparing young women to become leaders.
That's a great question. Honestly, like the way that Nerdy Girls, I wish I had like a nice, clean story to tell about it. We actually started out as a for-profit company that was making journals and then on the side was doing programming, and we were called Nerdy Girl Supplies at the time. And just through the business plan competition, my time in that, we actually converted to doing more of the programming piece, where we work with young women in high school on leadership skills and career development.
And how did you get involved with the business plan competition? How did you hear about it, and what exactly did it do for you?
The way that I heard about it was actually from a mentor of mine, Kathleen McMorty, who had been through the business plan competition and encouraged me to join the competition. I was actually surprised when I was selected to join it and to be a part of it. It was an amazing experience. A lot of what I learned through that is obviously it's all about your business plan, but the big thing that I learned with that is that it was a living document, is how they described it. It's something that was supposed to evolve. That was something that was a big mind shift for me as you were moving along in your business, that it would actually grow and develop as well. And then really another big piece that I learned a lot about was testing and measuring. You have something that you're going to try, you test, you measure it, and see if you need to adapt anything. And now as we've moved into being a nonprofit rather than a for-profit, it's been very instrumental in helping me learn how to pivot things and read what the market is telling you, essentially.
You know, you use that word pivot, and I've had a number of the business plan competition graduates on this show, and they all talk about having to pivot their operations, especially during COVID and during the pandemic. How did Nerdy Girl Success survive the pandemic? Did you have to pivot your operations and change your way of doing things?
Actually, that was, you know, business owners and nonprofit people, we also have our personal lives. And right at the start of the lockdown, my grandmother, who lived with me, suffered a stroke, and we were also like getting ready. We were supposed to be getting ready to do an in-person event, and so there was a lot of time there where I was trying to figure out, like, are we just going to shut the doors? Are we, you know, is the country ever going to open back up again?
Right.
How are we going to do this? And what I decided to do was to actually, that word that we all use too much now, I think, is pivot, and just we actually turned into doing things virtually for the next couple of years, which really surprising to me. I really thought that I was going to be doing it for the young women here in Houston, our big event, doing it online, and was very surprised when we had our first registrations for the event actually be from Washington State. So that was something that really kind of opened up the doors for Nerdy Girl Success.
And you also have expanded to, you're on site at Houston high schools, but you also do work in Chicago and San Francisco. How did that come about?
Again, through being online, that very first event that we did, we actually had a counselor in the Chicago area who saw the post about it, registered for it, enjoyed what she saw, and said, hey, you know, we'd love to support you that way. And then as everything opened up, she said, we'd love to have you come and do something in person here. And so we were like, absolutely, yes. And so went and did it there. We also have advisory board members who are all across the country, and we have a lot of them that are in the Chicago area that help support us in coming to Chicago, doing in-person events there, as well as San Francisco and DC.
You know, we work with advisory boards here at HCC, especially ones that help us plan our curriculum to answer the demand of the workforce. How do the advisory boards help you in your operations?
They have been instrumental. I mean, it's through offering their advice and expertise in different areas with, because I've never done anything about knowing how to start a nonprofit or run a nonprofit. So they've been very instrumental with that, as well as like boots on the ground, like helping get us introduced to schools, finding volunteers to help out with the programs there in person. So they've been instrumental. And that's another thing that the business plan competition really, there wasn't like necessarily a session about it, but it was definitely something that they talked about, of like having people who understanding what your weaknesses might be considered, and then finding people who have those strengths in those areas to help advise you and supporting in different areas.
So we're moving past the pandemic now, or they say at least, you know, things are starting to get back to normal. What's next for your operations with Nerdy Girl Success?
Exciting things, actually. We are piloting some new programs here in the Houston area, as well as expanding the programs that we're doing in the Chicago area. I mentioned that we're going to be in DC in next year, as well as we've just had talks about potentially moving. I don't want to jinx it by saying what places, but also moving into some other states as well. So it's pretty exciting.
And are you looking to going back with the business plan competition? Have they asked you to come back, maybe speak to some of the current students? Is that something that's on your horizon?
Actually, during the pandemic, I was actually an advisor for a couple of years to the teams, and it's great to be able to give back. I also encourage anybody that I know to please, even if you don't win, there's so much that you take away from that experience that I wasn't a winner, and my goodness, the impact that it's had on my organization is just huge.
We've been talking with Christina Meade. She's the founder and executive director of Nerdy Girl Success, and she's a competitor in our HCC business plan competition. Christina, thanks for being here and letting everybody know about your organization and the success of the business plan competition. We'll have some information on Nerdy Girl Success in our social media post after the show.
Awesome. Thanks so much. You guys have a great day.
Thank you, Christina. All right, we're going to turn things over to Nathan. Nathan, you're going to take us out to Fort Bend County because it is the holiday season right now.
It is indeed. That was interesting. I'm glad Christina enlightened us on her own successful business venture. But moving on now, we're going to be speaking with Jessica Avery, docent, as well as Letha Wood, co-chair of Candlelight Tours, as well as docent, both with Fort Bend Museum. Welcome to the show, Jessica and Letha.
Hi.
We're looking forward to talking about what you call the opulence of the Gilded Age, a time when the industrial age was creating new money millionaires. And I personally find this fascinating because it's a period in time when we saw a shift from a much smaller selection of the economic wealth being held, and it started to become a little more distributed. If we have time, I'd like to talk with you more about that. But more importantly, you have an upcoming event, and this is an opportunity for people to kind of step into the past a little bit. So Letha, let's start with you. Can you tell us about where this event's going to be held?
It's going to be held in the John M. Moore House in Richmond, Texas, downtown historic district. Actual location is about 406 South 5th Street, right behind the 1905 house. Easy to find. The house was built in 1883. It was a Victorian style house. Then in 1905, Mr. Moore was elected to the United States House of Representatives. And just happened to be the same year the family decided to remodel the house and make it much bigger, much grander. Now, this is not a Newport mansion, but it is by Texas standards, a very nice home for a city house. And we're going to be decorating it with the theme of a Gilded Age Christmas in Texas. And we are trying to show off the house to its very best effect.
Excellent. So when guests arrive to view the home, is there decorations both indoor and outdoors? What are some of the things they might expect to see?
Well, the Gilded Age was right at the end of the Victorian era. And even if you had a lot of money, you didn't necessarily throw out your Christmas decorations. So there will be a lot of Victorian influences in the decorations, but we have decorated the entire downstairs of the house, which is 8 rooms and several really big hallways. They're going to see a very elaborate buffet table setting in the dining room. And we actually picked out our topic before the Gilded Age TV show on HBO aired. So they definitely outdid us on budget. So,
well, I'm curious, you mentioned a buffet. So there's going to be a spread there that people can indulge in while visiting?
if they have no allergies to plastic. Because
okay. So this is all. So this brings me to another question with regards to the decorations. Like, how many of the decorations are actually from that period? I mean, design-wise, yes, but are any of them actually that old?
I have several family artifacts in the house. We have Mr. Moore's father's walking stick, which he passed away in 1865. Oh. So, item. There are a few pieces of original furniture in the house. The 2 chandeliers date to the 1945, but they were older. They were installed in 1945, but they're about 100 years before that. Because this is a historic home and a museum house, we cannot use fresh greenery or actual food, real food. So everything is artificial. But the food, some of it is very hard to tell that it's not. So, but you will see a lot of decorations pretty reminiscent of the time. And we did take a few liberties and up a little bit more.
Very good. And now we lost Jessica. I was about to ask her a question concerning some of the activities that will be going on. But in lieu of that, maybe you can tell me a little bit about some of this weekend's activities.
We do it for 2 weekends, the first and second weekend of December on Friday nights and Saturday nights. The first Friday night, December the 2nd, just happens to also coincide with the Richmond Christmas tree lighting ceremony and the community Christmas walk. So there will be about 23, I believe, locations open that people can go to and see something going on, from the Christmas tree lighting to a choir in the rotunda of the historic courthouse. Our house will be open for tours. The museum is open. Several businesses will be open. Downtown will be open, some of the businesses and restaurants. So there's a lot to do that night. And most of the activities are free. And then after that, and that night, the house will be open from 6 to 8 p.m. for tours. And they're self-guided that night because everybody wants to go do everything else. On Saturday nights, the tours start at 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. And the main event is just the seeing the house. Now, on Friday night, we will have Fort Bend Christian Academy's choir singing outside the house on the lawn. And on Saturday night, we have the Fort Bend Boys Choir performing also.
Very cool. So you said some of it's Jessica. Welcome back. So I am curious. Letha was mentioning about some of the costs or non-costs. What are we looking at? Like if someone's wanting to just go tour the home, what did they need a ticket ahead of time? Reservation? What's the cost?
Question. So they can buy their tickets online in advance at fortbendmuseum.org, but we will also be selling tickets at the gate, which is wonderful. So if you just decide you want to come, the cost is $5 per person for anyone over the age of 5 years old.
Very cool. Now, we were talking earlier about some food there, and I, from what Letha was saying, might be fooled and decide I want to have a nibble at what's on the buffet table. And I'm told that's probably a bad idea. But what if I got the munchies? Are there going to be any refreshments available for people?
Absolutely. We are going to have complimentary cookies and wassail, which is just delicious at the end of the tour. So once you finish and you exit the house, it'll be right there waiting for you.
Excellent. And I have one last question for y'all. Depending on how you answer, maybe a follow-up. As we talked at the beginning about the opulence of the Gilded Age and the Industrial Revolution kind of creating new money, as in this concept of people who didn't have it before have it now. We see also historically following the Industrial Age, we've seen various periods in the US and around the world where different, let's see, we saw with Bitcoin, other things, billionaires being made, millionaires being made more so than before, which is an idea of a spreading of wealth, but we're still seeing a lot of it kind of reserved in a small pocket. Now, do you think 100 years from now, we're going to be looking back at the opulence of yet another different age? Are we going to be looking at museum homes, if you will, similar that were built maybe in the 1990s or right now, 100 years from now? What are your thoughts regarding that?
That's right. I do think about that because I look at my own house and wonder one day are people going to be touring homes that look like mine? I think we will. I mean, this house, the man that had it, he didn't ever think it would be a museum. He was going to hand it down to his family. And when they didn't want it, he didn't know what was going to happen to it. And thankfully, one of his sons stepped up and said, we can make it a house museum. So I think we will, even though they don't seem like museums to us now. I think in the future, people 100 years ago will want to, 100 years in the future will want to know, how did we live our lives? So absolutely.
And especially if the person was famous. I mean, I would go through Bill Gates' house.
I know we've seen, you can tour Graceland, for example, so there are certainly some more recent, we see with famous musicians, what have you. But yeah, it's fascinating. I really appreciate the conversation today. Jessica Avery, docent, and Letha Wood, co-chair of Candlelight Tours, as well as docent, both with Fort Bend Museum. We will have a post or a link in our post after the show so people can find you and come out there and visit the Morehouse and enjoy the real refreshments, not the plastic ones. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move on with a few announcements, Nathan, because we've got a lot of things going on. In fact, first and foremost, as we mentioned, we're at the middle of the week. Tomorrow, the 1st of December. Can you believe it? We're already in December. And tonight, before we wrap up this month, we've got vocal ensembles concerts. 3 faculty members will direct this evening of choral music, ranging from early Renaissance to contemporary composers. It's tonight at the Heinen Theater, Wednesday, November 30th, free. HCC Central College campus. You can check that out. No registrations required. It is a free event, and we'll have some information in our post after the show. And there's also something going on at the Southwest Faculty Artworks as well.
That's right. If maybe music's not your jam and you like a different kind of art, well, at the Southwest, at the HCC Southwest West Loop Gallery, through this Friday, December 2nd, you can go and view the works of a recent collection from West Loop and Stafford faculty. The exhibition is free. There is no registration necessary. Be sure to get in there and check that out before it's too late. It's a good way to de-stress just before finals. And there's more ways to de-stress.
Yeah. Yesterday, we told you about the hot dogs and puppies. Can't go wrong with that. That's happening out at Coleman College next week. Well, there's also, check this out, a manicure. That's right. De-stress with a manicure. HCC Central Student Library Advisory Council and HCC's Cosmetology Department are hosting an event to help students de-stress about finals while enjoying free manicures. Can't go wrong with that. It'll be under instructor supervision and happens 10 a.m. to noon, Monday, December the 5th. That's this coming Monday at HCC's Central College. We'll have some information in our post after the show. And we've also got a community learning event where you can learn how to be a civic trustee.
That's right. Ever been curious about becoming a civic trustee? Well, learning about leadership and problem solving is what you will learn at this with these community online learning workshops hosted by HCC. They continue on Mondays, offering no blame problem solving, government decision making, and city leadership roles. It's 9 a.m. to noon, Mondays through December 12th. Now, these are virtual meetings, so you don't have to worry about going out there. You can kind of fit it into your schedule. So you can check our post after the show for a link with the details. You do not want to miss out on this.
Okay, and think like an entrepreneur. The MBDA Pandemic Recovery, HCC's MBDA Pandemic Recovery Center is hosting a thought-provoking workshop to explore the mindset of successful entrepreneurs. David Regenbaum, HCC's Entrepreneur in Residence, will discuss how to plan a new venture, transition from side hustle to full-time entrepreneur to enhance your existing career. You want to learn about that? It is a free event, We've got a lot of those going on. 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., Wednesday, December the 14th. That's 2 weeks from today. It is free. It's online through Zoom. We'll have a link in our post after the show and how you can do it. And Nathan, it's hard to believe, but I know you're an adjunct with us, but it's hard to believe that we're already registering for spring 2023.
I know, it is crazy. It seems like ever since we went into, the lockdown with the pandemic, like more than 2 years ago, seems like time is just flying by. It's incredible. We're talking about 2023 already.
Yeah, life goes by extremely quickly, especially since March of 2020, huh?
Yeah. Time just accelerated. But that should be a reminder to all of you out there that it is time to register now, because the time will fly and slip away quickly, as will those slots for classes. So be sure to register now. Now, maybe you want to fit in what we call our winter mini-mester to get in in that 2-week period, a short class to get an extra 3 credits. But you can also now go ahead and register for spring. Get those classes in now. We have lots of different ways to learn, so the options are open to you. We have online anytime, where you just take the class when you have time to do it during that semester. We have online as scheduled, because maybe you like a little bit of schedule in there, a little bit of structure, to where you still have the flexibility of online, but you're able to get in, talk with the teacher in a class-like setting that is virtual. We have hybrids, which is a mix of the two. And then, of course, our in-person and hybrid labs, where you're in the classroom, or a mixture of in the classroom with some online content. But either way, get on registering. We January will be here in no time, as we've already determined. So definitely be sure to register. Go to hccs.edu/apply.
All right, so we're about to wrap up today's show, but National Native American Heritage Month, it may end today, but that doesn't mean we can't honor them all the time. Tomorrow, we'll welcome the Houston Museum of Natural Sciences Hall of the Americas. That'll be cool. They're celebrating the diversity and accomplishments of our indigenous people, past and present. They'll be on the show tomorrow, and we'll take you out to Fredericksburg again, Nathan.
That's right. In another historical segment, I love these. I do. We'll remember Pearl Harbor Day with Fredericksburg Pacific War Museum. December is upon us, which means that day that lives in infamy, December 7th, is coming right up. You know, we have these dates that we don't forget about, 9/11,
Right.
December 7th. Right. I mean, these are our major turning points in our history, and it's good to remember them and remember how we came out of them. Always.
Yeah, how we became stronger as a nation. And if you haven't seen the Fredericksburg Museum, they've been on the show a few times, so it'll be great to talk with them again. They'll be on tomorrow. All right, I'm out of here for the next couple of days, but I'll be back Monday. We're live, though, tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., right here for Up to the Minute. We'll see you then.